listening to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast, the most listened to daily Miami Dolphins podcast on the internet.
Miami's got the Dolphins, the greatest of all.
Come on, Dolphins fans. Time to fins up.
We're in the air, we're on the ground, we're always in control. And when you say Miami, you're talking Super Bowl. Cause we're the Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins #1. Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins #1.
Fans, and how are you today? And thank you for listening to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast on this Tuesday, October the 8th. I'm your host, Tom Ernessy. On today's show, we are going to talk about the game on Sunday. As if you watched the post-game wrap-up show, we had some severe storms in my neck of the woods that actually knocked power out mid-show. So I'll give my final thoughts on the Dolphins win. We're going to go through Mike McDaniel's press conference and provide updates on Javon Holland, Tua Tagovailoa, and a little bit more. Also, the Dolphins' outlook heading into the bye week and some thoughts around the NFL as we wrap up the show. But before we do any of that, a big shout out to our sponsor, Caneswear. Caneswear is the place to go for officially licensed apparel for the Miami Dolphins, Miami Heat, the Miami Hurricanes, Florida Panthers, and all the professional and college teams in South Florida. Looking for the latest jersey, a birthday gift, or the newest hat to hit the market of your favorite South Florida team? Check out Caneswear for their overwhelming selection of sports apparel. Located at 2655 South University Drive in Davie, Florida. And Caneswear has it all. If you're not in South Florida, no worries. Visit Caneswear.com to shop their inventory from the comfort of your home, and they'll ship it to you. International fans, too. Caneswear.com is the spot that Miami fans shop. That's Caneswear.com, Caneswear.com. Also, a big shout out to everyone listening over at FinHeaven.com, the largest Miami Dolphins message board on the internet, and also everyone listening over at the Facebook group, I Am a Miami Dolphins Fan, run by the great Carlos Hernandez. If you're on Facebook, be sure to check them out. All right. So after the game on Sunday, Michael Lee and myself sat down. We were chatting, going through the game, and Mother Nature was not kind to me as I was cut off from the show for the remainder of, I believe, 10 to 15 minutes, and I did not get my final thoughts of the game and the Miami Dolphins win. So here they are. As I said at the top of the postgame show when I was able to speak about it, the Dolphins winning, going to 2-3, getting the bye week, it is very important that they get healthy and get ready for Indianapolis, because if they can pull the victory off against the Colts, they'll be 3-3 heading to the Week 8 game against Arizona with the potential return of Tua Tagovailoa. Obviously, a lot of things have to go right for the Miami Dolphins, and we'll get into that when I go through the outlook heading into the bye week. There were some positives in this game. I feel for the first time Mike McDaniel finally stuck to the run, and they ran it 41 times with great success. They had 190-plus yards rushing in this game against the Patriots, which, of course, led to the victory. And also, more importantly, that final drive where there were 7 consecutive runs by Mike McDaniel and the Miami Dolphins, which bled 7+ minutes off the clock to make sure that they were able to come away with a very important victory heading into the bye week. There's still a lot that has to change with this Miami Dolphins team in 2024, because even though they got the win yesterday and even though they had over 370 yards of total offense in that game and had the ball for 35 minutes, there are still massive problems that cannot be fixed this season. So the Miami Dolphins have an uphill battle. They're at 2-3, but they still have an uphill battle, and we'll see where things go. All right, Mike McDaniel's press conference on Monday. He was asked immediately about the safety position due to the injuries to Javon Holland in particular against the Patriots, and also with Jordan Poyer having a shin injury coming off the Titans game. Mike McDaniel stated, quote, "I feel good about where Jordan was at today, and I feel good about the time that we have until our next game, so just positive on where Poyer is at." So read between the lines, Poyer will be ready to go against the Colts in week 7. And with Javon Holland, it should be week to week. So this week for the game this coming Sunday, I can rule him out for that. Haha, clearly Mike McDaniel, the jokester, saying that they have a bye week and they don't actually have a game. But we'll see how it progresses a little ahead of schedule to kind of determine that, but it feels like will be week to week thing. So we'll see what that looks like in about a week. When asked the whole thing about playing in a cast regarding Javon Holland as a safety when you have a broken hand, is that a good idea in your opinion? Mike McDaniel responded, "I think it all depends on the player and what value. If it's just a ball production player, then I'm probably not playing somebody. If you offer much more than that, which is definitely what Javon Holland offers, there's value in playing with a cast even if you're only a pass breakup player at that point of attack. He's instrumental in the various ways that we utilize him, that I think if that would come to juncture, I would support that if he would support it, because it's all about the guys feeling like they can do their jobs at a high level. Each player is independent, but open to that with a player of his skill set." So really, with the word salad that was presented, the Dolphins are going to look at the option of potentially playing Javon Holland with a cast on his hand. The likelihood of him having surgery, based on what was reported Sunday after the game, is high. But if he's able to put a club on that hand, he might be able to play. Now, his ability to catch footballs becomes a little bit tougher. But they say he does so much more for this defense. And obviously we as fans have seen it from Javon Holland. Also asked about the risk of quote, a risk of answering my own question. "I know you said you weren't going to worry too much about quarterback Tua Tagovailoa because he's on injured reserve. Is there a plan for him this week? Is he out of concussion protocol, and will he do anything this week?" Mike McDaniel responded, "So the way that we'll look is there's some expert consultation that he has scheduled for this week, and then we'll address. The final stages of protocol won't be achieved until we bring him back off IR and that first practice is had. So until then, we are just communicating, and everything has been good so far." So the reports are Tua is meeting with more specialists this week to determine how his brain has healed. It has been roughly 25 days since that injury has occurred. He has been rested. He has not had any football activity. And based on what the concussion experts have said, usually the brain takes up to 30 days to fully heal from a significant concussion. Tua is going to be beyond that during the bye week. So there is a strong possibility, and it has been hinted, that Tua will be on the practice field leading up to the game against Arizona. Will he play in that game or not is up for debate, but be sure that the Miami Dolphins most likely will have Tua's practice window opened after the Colts game in a few weeks. When asked about Devon Achane is in concussion protocol, the answer is yes, he is, but they said he's in high spirits, so Achane hopefully will be okay in the coming weeks, but with the bye week, he's got a chance to heal up and get through protocol, so hopefully we'll see Devon Achane and hope he is doing okay. He was asked about Tyler Huntley being the starting quarterback going forward after the bye week leading into the Colts game, and roundabout answer, he said yes. So I'm not going to get into that word salad. Was asked again about Tua, and it was, has there been anything brought to you information that would be dangerous to play quarterback Tua Tagovailoa when the window opens? Certainly has to clear protocol, but all experts you've talked to, has anyone said, hey, no, this guy needs 2, 3, 4 months or whatever? He responded, there's been nothing negative thus far. No. Nothing negative thus far, but we are still in the process. We don't rush that process, and we don't try to do anything that negatively impacts that. So I'll stay within the guidelines that I've built for myself. Essentially, he's saying, we'll let the doctors tell us. We'll let Tua tell us how he's feeling. Doctors will conclude. They will figure it out. He was asked about the run game. 41 carries, more significant, and 193 yards, more significant. He said, chicken or egg? I would say I think the 41 attempts, it's hard to get 41 attempts. And to do that, there's inherent yardage, but that to get 41 attempts, it's more down in, down out, and has less to do with how many explosives you have, which kind of inflate numbers sometimes. I think it's the second time that I've been here that we've called 40 runs. I don't know, extra credit, gold star, anyone knows the other game. Hal jumped in, said Denver. But I think that also takes commitment when you run the ball, specifically in the second half, especially with 12 minutes to go in the game. And in this league, you have to run it when they know you're going to if you want success in big games. In tight games and in November and December games, you have to. McDaniel addressing the situation and the things the critics have been saying, particularly here at our website, that he doesn't do in big games, is he gets away from the run. He has gotten away from the run. It's not that because he's done 41 times against the Patriots that the issues are solved. They're not solved. Dolphins still have a lot of work to do in the ground game, but it was nice to see that Mike McDaniel did make some adjustments to his play calling based on how the game was running. The Dolphins ran the ball more than they threw. Results speak for themselves. They play defense and they win games. It's crazy. Crazy how that works in the NFL. So that's it for the Mike McDaniel Nuggets. There's more there, but too many word salads to go through. All right, Dolphins outlook heading into the bye week. Again, 2-3 is the record. Now, the Dolphins, based on all the results leading into the Monday night game at time of this recording, is the Chiefs and the Saints. They play neither team, so it really doesn't matter. But the upcoming schedule, the Dolphins have the easiest remaining schedule in the league. Hard to believe based on the opponents they still have to play later in the season. But looking at it in week 5, the Miami Dolphins have the same record as the San Francisco 49ers. They're a game better than the LA Rams. It's mind-numbing, some of these things. The Bengals are 1-4, for crying out loud. 1-4. So the Dolphins aren't necessarily out of it. Now, I say that with an asterisk because, as I said at the top of the show, there are still issues with this football team that has to be addressed. But they can't address those issues until after 2024. And if, according to Mike Oliva, Ruth Bader Grier is not here anymore. Because the major issues still glare: interior offensive line, lack of wide receiver depth, and a significant upgrade at quarterback 2. None of that can happen during the season. Unless you swing for a big trade, but right now the Dolphins aren't buyers. And I don't think they'll be buyers. I think they'll be more sellers than buyers, but that's my opinion. Can they still turn the season around? The answer is yes. They still can turn the season around. But what needs to be turned around is the offense. Because defensively, this defense, granted the run defense has not been great. They're ranked 19th in the league. But they're 6th overall in yards per game. They're 5th in the league in pass defense. And they're 16th in scoring. So there's bright spots there. But special teams is an absolute joke. Jason Sanders still missing kicks. Danny Crossman, I don't know what he coaches. They had a blocked field goal, a blocked punt, And then the week before, they had an absolute botch by Duke Riley. Not to mention a bad snap by Blake Ferguson on that blocked field goal attempt. Technically not blocked, but you know what happened. Offensively, they can't get out of their own way. They get into positions where they're ready to, put points on the board, and then you have the special teams blunders. But not only that, you have penalties that back the team up. Julian Hill being the biggest issue for me on offense. He leads the team with 7 penalties, but he's still the starting tight end. Things have to change. Baby steps against the Patriots. Some things changed. Mike McDaniel's play calling, for instance, went with the game flow. He kicked field goals on 4th and 1. He didn't try to go for it. He made smarter decisions. Baby steps. But this offense is lacking explosive plays, in the passing game in particular. Outside week 1 to the bombs to Tyreek Hill and Jaylen Waddle, there has been nothing in the passing game. Things still have to be addressed. So can the Dolphins turn the season around? Yes, there's still time. But time is running out. Yes, I'm aware how many games are left. There's still 12 football games to be played. But with a 2-3 record, the Dolphins realistically in the AFC to get into the postseason, you have to go 8-4 bare minimum. Bare minimum, just to have a chance. Is there 8 wins sitting there? Tough to tell. Very tough to tell. All right, let's get some thoughts around the NFL through week 5. We're going to kind of talk more about the AFC East as the Jets implode in London against the Vikings. They look terrible offensively. We watch the Dolphins and they do not look good offensively. The Jets are a mess. Aaron Rodgers looks all of 40 years old. He looks all of a game manager. And it's amazing to me that the Jets are paying this guy $40 million to play quarterback on this football team when they could have had Zach Wilson for far less than that to get the same type of production. The Jets are taking on the Bills next week on Monday Night Football. And speaking of the Bills, I don't know if anyone else saw this, but quite the double standard, wouldn't you say? When it comes to concussion protocol. If you didn't see it, just type in Josh Allen Houston, and you'll see his head completely slammed to the ground. He goes into a complete position where it looks like he's unconscious. His wrist is folded over as he's laying there. It looked like he suffered a concussion, but clearly smelling salts will heal those concussions. The Bills said that whatever, nothing. No, he's not in protocol. But he took a hard hit to his head against Baltimore. He took a massive hit to his head against Houston. The league should be looking into it. Just saying. Just saying. But the Bills took a defeat to Houston 23-20 on a 59-yard field goal on Sunday. Meaning the AFC East is wide open. The Bills have looked bad their last 2 weeks. They look supernatural against the Miami Dolphins every time they play. But against everybody else, they're kind of struggling. They're 3-2. The Jets are sitting at 2-3, the same record as Miami. Those two teams play next week. The loser of that game will put the Miami Dolphins, if it is the Jets that lose, the Dolphins will be in second place behind the Bills. If the Jets win, the Jets move into first place in the division, with Miami only a half game behind. Crazy to think. Crazy to think. 49ers, I mentioned struggling. The Rams are struggling. The Packers pull off a win against the Rams, opponent for the Dolphins on Thanksgiving. Interesting story with Romeo Doubs. If you haven't seen it, they sent his butt home because he didn't show up to work. So they suspended him. Anywho, there is a lot. Yeah, I said anywho. There is a lot going on in the league right now. But the Dolphins are still alive. They're in it. We'll see if they can continue to improve. We got a bye week. We're not going to have a ton of shows this week. I think Big E might be back. Good to see him back on his feet. He was at the Patriots game. I think Big E was the reason why the Dolphins won, to be honest. But good to see Big E back. Mike and him probably with a show on Wednesday. The same old Dolphin show boys will have a show dropping Monday night into Tuesday. Be sure to check that out on the Dolphins Talk YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed to the Dolphins Talk YouTube channel, go to YouTube and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so when we go live, you'll be notified. If you're not a part of Dolphins Talk Extra, what the hell are you waiting for? Go to Dolphins Talk on Patreon. Sign up. We got Discord chat. There's some fantasy games. There is exclusive content on the Dolphins Talk Extra channel. Only a few bucks a month if you could spare it. We appreciate the help and support for our website. That will do it for me. I appreciate everyone for listening. Be sure to follow me on X at DolphinsTalkTom. Follow the main account at Dolphins Talk, and be sure to go to DolphinsTalk.com every day for all the latest Miami Dolphins news and information. I am out. Thank you all for listening. Fins up. Let's go.
Thank you for listening to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast. Be sure to visit DolphinsTalk.com every day for all of your latest Miami Dolphins news.